Just like everything else in IT or in information technology, things can go wrong when we set up our routing and our switching, and we have our infrastructure all ready to go, or at least we think we do. So what I want to do now is to look at a few commands that we can use to help troubleshoot our wide area connections and our routing in general. The first thing I want to look at is the simple show run command. What I'm going to do is get into privilege mode. Enable. You can see that we are in privilege mode now. I'm going to type show run and hit enter. This is going to show the running configuration of our router that we have right now. You can see we have the timestamps turned on, and here we're doing some debugging. We have a syslog service set up, and I have my hostname set up. What we want to do is scroll down here. I'm going to hit the enter key a few times. Now we're looking at the interfaces. This is going to be important when it comes to troubleshooting because you may not be able to send any information. You may not be able to receive information. First thing you want to look at is this shutdown state. Are we using these interfaces to send information? The only interface we have set up right now is this S000. That is our wide area connection over to another router right now. You can see we're using encapsulation PPP. That's important too because if the other end is not using the same encapsulation we're using, we won't be able to communicate as well. I'm going to go ahead and hit the spacebar and go on down. We're getting into the bottom here, and now we have our lines, our console lines, our auxiliary line, our VTY line, or that virtual teletype line where we could remote access in. That's the first thing we want to look at, a simple show run, so we can look at the running config. Another good one that I really like to run all the time is a show IP interface brief. This command tells us some good information, and it's very quick. You can see the first column, we have our interfaces, fast Ethernet, serials, any other interfaces that we may have on our particular device. The second column is the IP addresses that have been assigned to that interface. That should be the same IP address that we just saw a second ago in the show run or running configuration. The two columns we really want to focus on is the status and the protocol. We want to look for up and up. This tells us that we have a good physical connection. That is our status column, and the protocol is on layer 2. For status, we're looking at layer 1. Protocol, we're looking at layer 2. We want up, up. We're good here, right? We can rule out any kicked out cables, any broken cables, any missed connections if it's loose in there. The protocol goes back to that PPP that I was talking about just a second ago. If the other side, for whatever reason, did not configure point-to-point protocol, we would have an up-down situation and we wouldn't be able to pass any traffic. Another popular command that I want to touch on is a show IP route. Here we're going to see the different route. Here we can see the IP routes or the routing table of this particular router. Now you can see there are no dynamic routes in here. All we have is our point-to-point connections are directly connected. That's what these C's tell us over here. These over here on the far left-hand side are directly connected connections. What this tells us is that this is the doors. These are the roads that the router is taking to send traffic. If we can't get from point A to point B, this is a good place to look because perhaps we have configured something incorrectly as far as the route, as how the router knows how to get traffic from one side to the other. Now another popular command is ping. That's an echo request, echo reply. What that means is I'm going to send out an electronic signal, if you will, across the line. If the other sign is up, if they're responding to traffic, that is, to this request, they will reply. This lets me know that the distant end, or the next hop in this case, is going to be up. I can rule out that the next router's down, because if I can ping you, then I know the connection is good between me and you. What I can do is say ping 10.10.10.2, and I get a success rate of 100%, and that's great. That tells me that the other router that I have in my topology is up and going. It's listening and it's talking to me. The last command is traceroute. It uses the same protocol that ping does. It uses ICMP. Traceroute actually takes information from ping and says, okay, this is the first hop, this is the second hop, and this is the next hop. This is the next, and so on, until it finally reaches its destination. These hops represent the number of routers that it goes through before it ever gets to the destination. If we type traceroute 10.10.10.2, we won't have many hops because if you look up here, you can see that 10.10.10.2 is inside the same subnet, and here it is explicitly with a /32. It says it's directly connected, so there's no hops. There are no routers between this one and the next one, so it's one hop away, which makes sense. If we had 2 or 3 routers in there, we would have a couple more lines for our trace route. In this demonstration, we learned about the troubleshooting commands show IP interface brief, show IP route, show run, and use ping and trace route. Keep these troubleshooting commands in mind. These are commands that network admins need to have on hand all the time because these are tools we can run to troubleshoot.